Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live episode of the Proceed with Passion Q&A series. I am your host, Terry Schilling, and each week I bring on a fellow creative human to talk about their career journey and what led them to do work that they're passionate about. And today I got Tony Christensen with me, aka Tony Does Ads. Tony, man, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be on the show.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you here too. Tony Does Ads. I feel like I watched something. It's just like it seems like Tony Two Chains or something like that. Like you got to like street cat name, man. But what was the basis behind that name? I feel like I want to just skip right to that for the moment.
Yeah, I had a horrible name before that I just had as like my username, and I was like, I need to change it because I'll just say it was Influencer Tony, but it was like when I was starting out, and I was like, that's horrible. People think I'm full of myself. I'm branding myself as an influencer, like the guys, they're like marketing guru and all that stuff. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And the more I got into kind of advertising, the more I was just like, I want to keep it semi-generic, but still fairly specific to what I do. So I'm just Tony Does Ads, and it kind of has a ring to it. And then I just kind of went with it. I ran it by a few people, and they're like, yeah, it's great. And some people thought I said like Tony Does Dads and like things and was like, what? Or like, all these Tony Does Apps, I think was another person.
Does apps, yeah.
No. But it is cool because then you can do like a play on it, like Tony Does Podcast and Tony Does whatever else too down the line. If I ever do other product lines or whatever else.
Yeah, totally, man. You could have like a little video series of just the random shit that you do, and it's just like Tony Does XYZ, which is pretty cool. Yeah, man. Yeah. I like it. Well, cool. Well, Tony, man, again, and thanks for coming on. And what we do in the Proceed with Passion to start out is we like to talk about the career journey. And a lot of times I go through the LinkedIn experience of guests to kind of see how everything went down, if you will, in your career. So I see you started at Washington State University. You graduated in 2013.
Yeah, it goes all over the place. You'll probably notice. Like, what is going on?
Well, you graduated with a bachelor's in Management Information System and Services. So pretty sexy right there. But what were you looking to do after college with that degree?
So that's kind of a degree in almost like information systems, so like databases, data analysis type stuff. So I was thinking that's what I wanted to do. I had no idea. So I got my associate's degree already before I went to Washington State, and then went there and was like, I don't know what I want to do. So I hopped around. I did electrical engineering, and I was like, oh, never. I don't want to be stuck in an office and just hate my life doing math all the time. And I sucked at math. I was like, it's not for me. I switched to broadcast production, and I love that, doing video production, photos, all that kind of stuff, journalism type stuff, copywriting, all that kind of fun stuff, which was really cool. But I was also like, I don't want to have a job that's kind of unreliable and I have to bounce around from set to set, which some of my friends do, and they're killing it and it's awesome. But for me, I was like, I don't know if that's for me either. And then, I kind of heard about combining business with technology, and that was kind of information systems. So I ended up wanting to go there and do that. And then from there, I ended up being a contractor and working at Boeing for a while as kind of like a project manager. So I was kind of in charge of an IT services team. So when we would roll out different software updates, I would have to make sure, or patches or vulnerabilities that might have happened. I'd have to make sure we patched everything, that all the systems were connected to, and that we weren't interfering with shuttle launches and satellite launches and things like that, which is cool. But it was also like a job that I was like, it was a fancy job title, and like what a lot of people strive to get, like, oh, cool name, company.
Yeah, working for Boeing. Awesome.
Yeah, but I literally hated it. And I was like, I was reading a book once, and it was like, look to the left and right of you, and that like older guy in your office is going to be you if you don't change anything about your life, And like at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm going to start looking for more jobs.
Oh man, sometimes that stuff, just the visualization just hits you so hard of that office life and where you'll be. Man, good for you for kind of taking that shift, if you will.
Yeah. So then
I see you then kind of, you were a community ambassador in Yelp, and it seems like this kind of triggered your step into branding and marketing. And was there anything else that I might be missing by looking at this from your LinkedIn? Uh-oh, may froze for a second. Live television. Got a few people watching. I think Tony cut out just a second. All good. We'll get him back. For the people watching, if you have any comments, want to say hi, feel free to do so. If you're watching on the YouTube or the Facebook group. And then when we get into the Facebook advertising stuff, we can ask some questions for Tony, which will be, I think will be super insightful. Tony definitely knows what he's talking about. So we're excited to have him on here. Let's see. Maybe if I remove him for a second. There we go. Now we're back.
There we go.
Hey, buddy.
Sorry about that. I think it might have been, I'm moving. I moved houses, so my internet, it's probably me. I apologize.
All right. You're good.
I think I'm on a faster connection now.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
I feel like sometimes it happens, man. It's happened a handful of times so far on this. I know we're doing it live, so it's always that there's always that possibility. But I think just removing you from the stream and back in worked.
Yeah. Perfect.
But I don't know what I was referencing last was I saw that you were then a brand ambassador for Yelp, and it seems like that kind of made your shift into the branding marketing side. Was that your next step after you had this moment where you don't want to be that guy that old guy in the office?
Yeah, Yelp was just an interesting job that opened up. It was just like a part-time job. So I was working there, I think when I was at Boeing, working a little bit too, or maybe the next. Yeah, it was, I think when I was at Boeing, yeah. Yeah, and it was just, I wanted to meet more people in the area that I lived in, Bellevue, Washington, because I was just kind of new to that area. So yeah, it was kind of like, it was like the party guy. Like I would throw events with new businesses or whatever and invite all these, Yelp elite people, and I'd write their email newsletters and things like that there. And I just kind of grew that Bellevue, Washington community for Yelp, which was really fun, really cool. Yeah. And it got me kind of into doing almost like business consulting too with people, and like just like have good customer service and people will rate you better on Yelp, and like things like going above and beyond for customers, how to react to negative customer situations that might have happened, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would say that probably did jump-start it a little bit, and then I ended up getting an opportunity, and I really did start getting into learning advertising, learning marketing. Really, not quite advertising quite yet. But I remember just coming home from work or working at Yelp or whatever and getting off and just learning more about marketing and advertising. And then I went to kind of the next job was like a totally different spectrum, which was a kind of a startup, new supplement company. Went there.
I saw that. That's pretty, some credentials that you have here. Grew Instagram following 228%, increased Twitter following by 347%. I feel like this is when I first came across you too on Twitter, Tony.
That was probably
2018, 17 range.
Yeah, it was probably around the time when I started building my brand. And I remember kind of
when you were influencer Tony.
And that's kind of like a big turning point I had there was I convinced them to send me to social media marketing world. And this was like a small team. It was like I was basically like the general manager. We had a CEO in Japan that we would work with and talk to. I was running the show in a lot of ways there, which was really cool. I could like really dive into advertising and marketing, like however I wanted to for the business. I didn't like, they didn't run the business very well, to be frank with you. And like, they ended up going out of business now, which sounds horrible, but I mean, it's just the reality of it. And
I've worked for a similar startup where everything was fun and then a lot of interesting decisions. And
exactly. And so I ended up getting like convincing them, like, I want to learn more marketing for the company, send me to social media marketing world. So I ended up going to my first social media marketing world when I was with them. And that's kind of where like I was like, wow, I found my people. And like I really fell in love with kind of everyone that's doing marketing and advertising and just how energetic that energy was. And it was just incredible. So after that is when I really dove into advertising, because I went to some of their advertising sessions there. And then I just went full on into advertising then. And then it was more like I was just focused on ads for the company and running it and doing everything else too. But it wasn't something that it was like I was trying to run a company and do the marketing, but being like my hands were held behind my back in a lot of ways. So I ended up leaving there. Some examples, like they didn't want to update their website. They didn't want to do video advertising or video marketing, they didn't want to like pay for any sort of like marketing advertising presence. They didn't want to update so many things that like you just have to do. So it was a struggle. So I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, hey, you guys you're killing yourselves here by pulling yourself back, which a lot of stuff, like you said, that just doesn't make sense. So I was like, I can't put up with it anymore. So
Oh man. Yeah. And then, like you said, you really got into more marketing and Facebook ad roles, Blitz Metrics, director of marketing for a little bit there. So and then we can fast forward a little bit, which because it's pretty interesting. You started a new job as an advertising manager in March of 2020. Was this right before COVID or during it?
Yeah, that was, it was like right after the last Social Media Marketing World. I think it was like the week
after
that.
That was like the last big event I saw that really went on.
Last big conference. So it was pretty much at the start, like about during when it was happening. Which was
nobody knew what we were doing, but we knew it was going in a bad direction.
So that was really interesting. That was also the time I basically moved down here to, I live in like the Phoenix, Arizona area now. So I moved down there around that time too. So it was a big transition in a lot of ways. And people are like, what do you think about Arizona? I'm like, I've just been at my house. Like I haven't really gone outside much, so I can't really tell you.
Oh man.
It's hot, but
I imagine July and August, you're just like, well, it's ridiculously hot. It feels like I'm touching the sun when I walk outside. Oh man. Well, Tony, what really was it about the advertising side of things that really drew you to it? Not just, was it just because like the metrics, or just kind of what, like the bigger picture for you?
For me, it was kind of combining, like finding something that was actually like all of my passions combined into one, which I thought was crazy. It's like the, video marketing, advertising, as weird as it sounds, for advertising, the psychology side of it. I've always been interested in getting people to react and just doing random things to just see how people react. And that's just basically what ads are, and standing out online, all that kind of stuff. And then similarly, working on businesses and consulting and helping businesses grow and seeing that growth. And it sort of combines, I don't do a lot of the customer service, but just seeing how it intertwines with customer service and being able to help people, reach more people and have a bigger impact on the world, as corny as it sounds. Like combining all of that. And then, like you said, the data side that I love, and diving into metrics and seeing what's working. So it's like the creative side with business and analysis all kind of combined, which I love.
Man, it totally makes sense. And I get it, because when you talk about your background with the broadcast side and in the production, and then just like telling stories, it's like you can do so much with advertising across like Facebook and Instagram. You can use GIFs, you can do these, detailed videos and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
It's the more I dive into it, the more I'm like, I love this stuff. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's changing quickly, about daily, but
do you remember do you remember your first paid ad that you did, and what were the results? What's the story behind that, if you can't remember? Go back when you were a young pup in the advertising world. What happened?
My first paid ad was probably, so I did music for my, I had my own pop star type music I was trying to do. Back in college.
All right, cool.
I graduated college and was still doing music. I ended up putting out an album in Seattle, and wanted to promote it more. And I think this was one of my first ads, but I wanted to do a bottle service giveaway for a kind of a show I was having at a club out in a college town. So I made this pretty funny video. I was like hungover outside. It's going to sound horrible, but I was like hungover outside of like a Little Caesars pizza. And I think I just started talking to the camera there. It was like an iPhone shot video, And I was like, if you want to win, free bottles, this weekend at this club or whatever. I was releasing a song called Out of Control. So it was like Win an Out of Control Night with Motive was like my artist name. I ran that, and I just remember basically targeting universities is pretty simple. It's like target the school, the area. It can cost more now because there's not as many people you can target. And now in 2020, you probably don't even want to target a school because that's another story. But but I just remember hearing just from friends that I knew that still went to the school, they were like, people like were talking about the video in my class. So it was like one of the first ads I did, and it did pretty well.
Nice.
Just because it was like if you're in college and you can win a free bottle service at a club that barely does it, they were kind of starting to do it. It was just kind of a cool event. So people loved it. And that was really cool. So that was like I would say my first, I think one of my first ads and one of the first like ones that did fairly well.
Gotcha.
In terms of, there wasn't like sales really. It was just like awareness and fun, which makes it easy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome. Do you remember, was it too much fun where you don't remember who won the bottle service? Were you able to beat them that night?
No, I remember who won. Yeah, it was
funny, man. That's really cool though. Motive. Do you have a YouTube? Is there still stuff we can see from Motive?
Somewhere out there.
All right. So everybody listening, let's check that out and share Motive some love. Let's get a comment going. Yeah. Oh man. Well, cool though. I mean, that's still interesting because it kind of gets you, get your feet wet a little bit there. It kind of leads into some other things. But yeah, now, man, you're really focusing on ads. And I guess like, did you have like one big successful one that you did to kind of go on, onto that story what you just told that really just made you think, I can do this and I'm going to do this?
Yeah, like one of my biggest campaign successes was one I did for a leggings brand. And I knew it was a success because it was one of those ones that was like had more shares than comments on the ad running,
Yeah,
which was really cool. And it was kind of like an empowering type ad. I did a lot of research and was just asking people what they love and hate about leggings. And one girl said something to the effect of like, I hate how some are like one size fits all. That's obviously not true. So I got that and was like, that's my headline right there. So my headline was like, we all know one size doesn't fit all. Yeah. And then I said like, we have all these different sizes or whatever the ad, I can't remember the rest of the copy. It was something clever and kind of talked about some of the features people loved. Oh, I remember one of them because I kind of just combined everything that all the feedback I got, and I love doing research because of that. Because I don't wear leggings. I didn't have any experience with them at all, really. But some people were like girls hate that they can be see-through if you're like grabbing something from the floor or you're doing like squats, because this was kind of a brand that was affiliated with working out. Yeah. So a girl said like, I hate having to tie a sweatshirt around my waist. So I wrote that in the copy too, they're squat proof. I said, so you don't have to tie a sweatshirt around your waist and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And it was just a quick little video ad of, girls kind of just walking in different leggings that they had and kind of smiling, doing a twirl and walking out, and then a different girl walking in and all that kind of stuff. So like a quick compilation type video. Yeah. And it did, so I started it, kind of like an adception, I like to call it. So I just showed it to people that already loved the brand to really just build that kind of credibility, that love, social proof on the ad. And it did really well. It was like, I don't even know, it was like a 26x ROAS, I think, or something, which is just crazy high for something like that. Wow. So I ended up duplicating it, which is what I do sometimes, to the top of funnel, and then basically showing it to people that haven't heard about the ad. And it was like a 19x ROAS, which is like unheard of. And they were like, the average order value there was like $100 or more, I think. So it's you're getting a high ROAS anyway. That high is like incredibly high. And that was kind of like, I was like, wow, this is like working, that like people are getting the message. It's hitting home, they're relating, they're tagging their friends, all that kind of stuff. When you ever see something like that, that's getting tons of shares and tons of tags, you're like, yes, something's going on here, which is really cool. And then I really noticed it did well when my boss at the time, it was the last agency I was with, was like, they had PR ties. So they talked with people that could help people with PR and placement and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, hey, check this out. And it was basically a ripoff of my ad. That whole story and that whole message got stolen and syndicated on I think it was like 600 news networks. Oh my God. Internationally. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like that's exact. Like they had like squat proof and all the things that I was saying in my copy. Yeah. Much, like, word for word. And I was pretty mad, but also at the same time, I was like, wow, that was like, I created that. And that was cool. That like sort of flattered, but also really pissed too. But, but it was cool.
Like, my first reaction, the first reaction, I feel like for me, I'd be like, I'd be pissed too. But then I'm like, I guess if you turn it around, I'm like, well, I did something right here. Because look at this. It's all over the place.
Like, so, and that's what I was saying like earlier when it was kind of cheesy, like you could have an impact. And that was like part of it. yeah, we're trying to sell products at the end of the day, but there's still like this message and like especially now with COVID going on, there's still like just uplifting, creative, funny videos that you can make that just have a great impact on people's lives, which is really cool. And half the time, if they're funny, if they're witty, if they do cheer people up, they're going to love the brand more, and sales are going to come basically from that on the back end anyway. So that's kind of why I love doing ads too, and why that was corny at the beginning when I said like the impact. But it is.
I mean, and it's not corny at all, man, dude. We're on the Proceed with Passion. Making an impact is not corny, man. That's the goal. In any way that you can, hopefully have a positive impact on other people. So I really dig that. And now I really want to dive into, the structure of, creating a Facebook ad sequence. So, you really touched on, and I feel like that research side you referenced is just good for any copywriter and business owner in general, by doing that research for the audience, your current customers, and then using their language, like what they say. I think a lot of people are like, oh, that's really great. And they maybe just use it as a testimonial, but you can phrase it in a way for your headlines and things like that, which are great. And like, we can get into that, but I'm curious, what do you do when you start like a Facebook ad sequence?
Yeah, I am like a mad scientist where I just look everywhere and really try to figure out the product, the business, the industry, kind of depending on what it is. And I've done a wide range. I prefer kind of e-commerce ads primarily. But I have helped local businesses. I've helped like very technical businesses where like I have to just read product books and things that are very boring to me, but I'm like, oh, I'll learn it, So yeah, there's multiple sides to it. I like to look at just the history of the business that I'm helping. So things that they've done in the past that have worked organically or with ads, looking at like kind of their Google Analytics reports and just seeing what it looks like, what demographics might be showing the most there. If they have, that purchaser data, that email list data, leveraging that and seeing what we can find from that. I like looking at the next part is like competitors, and there's really not. It's kind of I'm someone that I do what I feel like doing at the time. There's all sorts of research, and I go through it, but it's not like I'll do competitor first and then talk to people and then this. It's just like, which one do I feel like is the best right now, and I'll do it, and then I'll do all of them typically. So then I'll go and I'll look at competitors, and I'll dive into if I can find ads that they're running, if I can find their Instagrams, their Facebooks, all that kind of stuff, and just see what people are responding to the most. So doing that there, I'll look at Amazon reviews for competitors, as well as for if my clients are on Amazon, and just seeing what people are doing there. I really dive into the Amazon reviews probably the most of my time, where I'll go through. I kind of have a worksheet where I basically go through and I copy paste all of the reviews, and I pull out what they say, what are the main features, pain points that they mention. And then I kind of categorize it and sort it. So then I can say, out of these 100 reviews, 55% are saying they love the leggings because they're squat proof, or because they're not see-through, or whatever that is. Right. And then I can rank that and say, people really care the most about this. This is what they're really mentioning. So we probably want to mention something along those lines in our ads. And then you get the inspiration from that to, create whatever kind of video ideas you might want to create, or images, or the copy as well. I think I mentioned most of what I did there.
That's great. Can you touch on Facebook ad library? How often do you use that? Because I think that's a tool that I've started to use now. And I think even just for writers who are doing like landing pages or websites, as far as like competitors go, I feel like you can get a lot of good language from what other people are running.
And I always kind of caution people too. I say get inspiration from it, but don't necessarily copy what people are doing, because you don't have a clue if they're even successful or not with those ads.
I was about to say, can you see like how they're performing, or did you just see that what their ads look like? You can't really see. You can kind of see. I use another tool as well, and it's called I have the link. I think it's called Advert Suite. Advert Suite. They don't have all of the live ads in there. They kind of have like a kind of a repository of ads that they kind of cache every once in a while. So you can see historical ads of competitors, which are really cool, that might not be running now. But that tool is really nice, because then you can actually filter keywords that are in the ads. You can filter by who the page is,
and then you can filter by like how many comments, how many shares it has, which is really nice.
Wow.
They don't have all the ads just because that's a ton of ads to store.
Sure.
But it can be a nice place to start. And then, the ad library I love using too, where I'll just get, whatever top 5, 6 competitors or however many I want to go. And I look at their Instagram, their Facebook, and try to see if they're running ads. And then, just look for what angles are they doing? Are people reacting to these? What might be working? You can see when the ad was posted in the ad library. So that can kind of help you because you can see like, oh, they've been running this ad for 6 months. It must be doing something good for them. Yeah. But again, I've seen a lot of ad accounts and some people don't know what they're doing at all. Sure. So, they're just running it because they're like, oh, it's getting engagement or whatever, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's working. So there's 2 different sides to that whole story.
Yeah. Now, is that research part of how you decide who you're targeting, the ads to? Like, do you get an idea? And you said you did stuff on demographics, but what is it then once you take that next step of targeting the ads?
Yeah. So a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have really cared a lot more on the demographic and targeting. Now Facebook is getting really, really good where ideally I'll find like my ideal client is a business that's organically doing really well. They know kind of what their messaging is. They know who their customers are. So they can already give me that information for the most part. But even with Facebook, they like to do, and the system performs the best when you don't have as many like really narrow focused targets. So a lot of times now I'll be doing lookalike, and I test everything all the time. So it's just like, this is a very specific case. And to anyone listening to this, don't do exactly what I say, because it's probably not going to work for your ad account. They're all like so different. So just keep that in mind, like always be testing. But ideally you want to get a lookalike audience created of like the best source audience that you can get. So if you have a ton of purchasers, get that. If your pixel's on your website, you can pull that purchasers list and create a lookalike of that. That's going to be performing typically a lot better than sort of like the interest demographics that you might do. So like if I was doing leggings, I might do girls interested in working out or whatever it might be, or different fitness brands like Lululemon or all that kind of stuff. But those typically aren't going to perform quite as well. Typically, I say, again, as like a lookalike audience of like your purchasers or people that have like added items to their cart but haven't checked out and all that kind of stuff. But you have to test it because it varies so much. It's good to test different groups too, like Facebook engagement, your different Facebook video views, and Instagram engagement as well. As well as like website visitors. That's kind of the middle of funnel. I do a lot of the engagement audiences. But then you can get different lookalike groups of those as well and test them just to see like, is my, Instagram audience really good? If I can get a lookalike of that, are they going to perform well at the top of the funnel? If that makes sense.
Can you briefly explain your funnel process with this? Because I know you keep referencing it. I guess just to give, like listeners a little bit more clear.
Good way to good idea. Back it up. So we'll start at the bottom because it's the easiest. So when we're talking about e-commerce, like just an example, I have a blue Hydro Flask cup, right? Maybe I'm working for Hydro Flask. They have blue, they have red, they have purple, whatever. At the bottom of the funnel, I typically run what's called dynamic product ads. So this is typically, and again, I try different windows, but lately I've been doing like 14-day. So it means people that have gone to their website in the last 14 days that have added items to their cart or viewed this specific blue cup. I will then show that same blue cup, that same item that they looked at on Facebook as like a product ad, to buy. And it's dynamic. So whatever color you look at will be the color that they show you in that ad.
So this is why if we go to a website and look at something, then like the next time we go on Facebook, we see an ad.
You're like, you're stalking me. Yeah, that's me.
That's you. Got it.
And those typically perform really well. I said, they're to like the people that have been like, they might have already added that item to the cart, or they might have looked at that specific item, not people that have just gone to the website but haven't quite looked at an item yet, or not the people that have engaged with you and all that kind of stuff. It's the people that they're the most warm really, because they're they're kind of shopping around, they're adding it, but they didn't quite check out. So you just kind of remind them to come back. It's great there to run like a coupon code or even test different coupons. You can do like a 7-day audience and maybe just say like, oh, did you forget this? Come on back. Or you might do like then a 7 to 14 day and say, well, how about we give you free shipping or something, so you can test different offers too at different windows to try to get them to come back. So that's kind of the bottom of funnel, just remarketing, strictly showing the product. You can do other things too, where you're showing an image or whatever to a specific product to people that viewed specific pages and all that kind of stuff. The middle of funnel, so going up a level, is then to kind of those audiences I talked about, the engagers audiences. So those are, people that engage with you on Facebook, people that engage with you on Instagram, video viewers you can throw in there, website visitors, all that kind of stuff. So people that they know about your brand, they might have looked at some of your products, they might not have quite yet. So then those ads are really good to show kind of like testimonials, reviews, comparisons, all that kind of stuff. The social proof, that might be really good there. At the top of the funnel, that works really well too. Unboxings, all that kind of stuff can be really good at the middle. And then the top of funnel is your cold audience. So that's kind of, now we're targeting, it could be demographics, it could be those lookalike audiences. And just so people know, lookalike audiences are basically, if I have like a list of, let's say I have like in the last 30 days, I've had 1,000 purchasers. I'll say create a 1% lookalike of those 1,000 purchasers in the US. And basically Facebook will say, all right, these 1,000 people have these things in common. Maybe they like cats, maybe they're moms, whatever it might be. It's I don't even know. They're smart. And then they'll basically get the 1% of people in the US that share those characteristics of those source people. So it's basically people that are just like your customers, ideally, that they do. Again, you have to test different windows and all that kind of stuff, but it's a cold audience because it's a lookalike of those people. It's not those people. So that's Sorry.
So they like take like any type of like activity from people's Facebook and what they like and things like that, and then we'll target the ads towards them because they have those characteristics.
Basically. It's kind of complex. It could be like friends. It could be it takes into factor a lot of things. It could be like I moved into this new house and I was looking at furniture, right? So they're gonna know that I'm like looking at furniture ads and that I might be searching on furniture places on Facebook or whatever that kind of stuff is. Or I might be asking people about like, where should I buy a mattress and all that kind of stuff. Facebook knows all. They know a lot of stuff. Anything that I react with online, with people's posts, if one of my friends bought something and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome or whatever, they're going to see he reacted to this new puppy that this girl got or whatever it might have been. So he likes puppies or all that kind of stuff they can do, which is really cool, scary sometimes, kind of creepy sometimes.
Yeah, dude, it really depends how you look at it, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So that's
cool.
And it can be like I'm going to different websites, so those websites might have pixels installed. So I then might be remarketed to, like, if I'm looking at Casper mattresses, then I see a Casper ad. Then Facebook typically will show me an ad for Purple as well, and those other mattress brands, because they just know if you're shopping around, you're probably shopping around, and they'll probably show you some of those other brands, which is why you've probably seen that too, where you're looking at one specific product, you might see an ad, and then you're seeing all these other brands come out all of a sudden with ads that are hitting you, and you're like, what's going on here? So that can be sort of a lookalike. It can be like family, friends. There's all sorts of factors that kind of go into it.
And then each of those funnels, the ads are really different, because if you're targeting the top of the funnel, you may do something different. In the middle of the funnel, like you said, let's run an ad of unboxing, because clearly they're engaging with us. So let's just take them over the edge. It's like they know that they're solution aware. They know about us. Let's just make sure that like why we're the ones that you should buy from type of idea. Right?
And then your bottom of funnel's really those like stronger come buy from us, or there might be a big sale or free shipping.
Bottom of the funnel, what do you think works? Just more of like special offers, like here's 30% off coupon?
You can do that there. I'm a weird case where I test everything everywhere. I typically just like doing dynamic product ads at the bottom of the funnel. You can test those different offers, kind of like I said, where The first 7 days, maybe I'm just showing them the product again. And then we might test from 7 to 14, let's offer free shipping. And then if they didn't buy it still, then maybe 14 to 21, we're saying we'll give you 20% off or whatever.
Yeah.
So just testing those things out. Sometimes people will react, sometimes they won't, and you'll kind of find that number that works out. So it's just kind of reminding people there. So there, I'm typically not doing a lot of other images, videos type stuff. It's just showing that product they were looking at.
Yeah.
And it's a carousel. So they'll be like, oh, here's the blue one. And here's the one that's the next likely that we think you might buy, that you can kind of scroll and see next in that ad. The middle of funnel, the middle and the top sometimes I kind of switch the two depending on if it usually works in the middle. Sometimes it'll work at the top. If it's really working at the top, sometimes I might bring it down to the middle. It's kind of a weird thing where you just have to test it out. But definitely at the top everywhere really, you need like really quick moving ads, like the first 3 seconds, you got to grab people's attention. I like to see motion, even if it's simple, like little animated things over a picture just to grab people's attention too. That works really well. And then, like user generated type content, that's like always going to perform really well. Stuff that's like not really great looking, like usually performs really well. Like the stuff that customers film on their iPhones.
It's because it catches so much attention kind of in a weird way. It's like, oh, look at this. But then you're like, oh.
It can there's that you can do too, where like you're doing professional, but you're just making it look horrible. So it stands out. Like that works too. But there's like, it's really just make it not look like an ad, and that's going to perform the best as an ad, I'm helping like one client now, and their creative is just, it's so good. Everything looks like it's coming out of a magazine, and it's not doing well because I'm like, people know it's an ad. They're just going to keep going right by it. And it is a kind of a competitive, it's like the beauty industry. So it's competitive as well, but that's why a lot of like user generated content is going to perform the best, just because you're getting someone's take on it instead of trying to guess. Unless you have done the research, you can kind of figure out the messaging, but if you don't get that take, then you're just kind of guessing like, will they respond to this or this, and trying it out.
I feel like user generated content has always been effective, but here we go. I'm going to use this phrase now more than ever. It's so crazy because this is what we're filming now. It's like actors are making movies and putting it out there on their phone. It's like everybody is like recording stuff through their phone right now. So it's just, I feel like our brains and like we've just adapted as humans. Like this is what we're attracted to right now because it's all we're looking at.
Yeah, and I think like looking at like platform wise, like looking at TikTok and what's going on there, and like people that are blowing up there that are doing really, really good content, and it's just like someone's little brother or something, or little sister. You're like, wait, what are they doing? And I like looking at platforms like that because TikTok is a lot of ways, to me, it's kind of like the future of a lot of it, where it's all user generated stuff for the most part. The ads that are doing really well there are typically ads that look just like normal TikTok videos, not like the big branded ads, that you might see on TikTok. You're like, oh, that's an ad, you're going to keep going or whatever. I like to look at like a platform like TikTok because I see tons of different really cool like transitions and ways that people are grabbing your attention, like wait to the end or watch this or come here, and like all that kind of stuff that you can do to kind of reel people in from the start, so look at those platforms.
Yeah, for sure. I have a quick question because I thought of it when we were talking about how Facebook listens and knows all, like you said. Is there any truth now to the voice activation of it? So like if you and I are talking about Casper and I'm saying Casper out loud, am I going to get an ad now for Casper?
I don't believe so.
Is it just pure coincidence?
It's not pure coincidence. It's data. I mean, you have to think Facebook has like Facebook and Google have like the world's data at their fingertips. And you can find really crazy patterns by like just looking at the whole world and how they interact with like a weird example is like, you might find that like, if you're this age and you like Coca-Cola, then maybe you have, or there's a strong probability you have like divorced parents or something. Like they can just find like these crazy weird things because there's millions of data, probably billions, hundreds of billions, I would say now at this point, of data points. So really to me, it's the algorithm. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much they use their phones too, and they're like reacting to things online, and then they're saying something, or we should try this out because they saw their friend's thing and they liked it. So then they, Facebook knows, they're already looking or whatever. Or me, looking at buying a house. So I'm looking up, water filtration systems and random stuff. So then Facebook kind of knows like he's probably buying a house. So let's show him those related things. So or it's like a huge company like TikTok and they're just spending all their money on like reaching everyone. And they're like, what?
If I go on YouTube and look up like an NBA highlight of an old Chicago Bulls game, and then like I'm talking with my friends about the 2006 NBA draft. If I type in 2006 in Google, the first thing that shows up is NBA draft. So
So they and they have, their little partner networks and stuff too. So they have the data points in a lot of ways that can connect your searches with whatever, if you're using a Google Home, I think those, I'm pretty sure, take all your data too, and things that you're asking it, like where should I go for this, or what's the best this, or all those questions. So they can connect the dots really well. Scary well sometimes.
Bet. All right. Couple questions that I had from people in the group for Facebook ads. And I think this is a good one. What is your take on long versus short, or the length of caption copy for an ad?
So Facebook now is saying shorter copy is kind of what they recommend. I test both. I'm kind of getting more on the side of shorter copy. I've ran both. I would say definitely test it though. And that's pretty much my answer for everything's like, it depends, and test it. Just because that's how it is. Because I've seen really well performing long form ads as well, like things like coaches, consultants, all that kind of stuff. They're like, they kind of do that story format or whatever. Like, do you have this issue? I dealt with that, yada yada. The typical like kind of like the ClickFunnels. So those can work really well. I've had ads perform really well with both short and long copy. I like shorter copy with some of the ads I'm creating now, just because it adds more that curiosity factor where you're not giving all the information in the ad, which I think some people do. They give too much information, and then you're not getting those click-through rates to be very high or very good because you're already giving them everything. So if you can do more curiosity type stuff, like an example, Molly Pittman, who's another like Facebook advertiser, she had an ad a while ago running, and it was like, are you still running Facebook ads like it's 2015? So that you're like, wait, what are ads like now, or what were they like back then? So you want to click through, right? So think about how you can write copy like that really brings people in, and they then want to click and go to your website to learn more. So I would say, again, test it. That's always my answer. But I would lean probably more towards shorter copy now.
Okay. Now, is there any phrases to avoid in like right now when running ads? Because I feel like I've heard things that Facebook advertising is flagging how, like, obviously you're not lying, like not like political stuff, but is there any like type of topics or like things that you really should avoid? Because Facebook will be like, you can't say this.
It depends on the industry, but yes, there's a lot of stuff to avoid. I'll give you an example. I had a dog bed ad I was writing, and I said, what did I say? Something along the effects of like, this is like where this is the most prime real estate in your house now, or something like that. And because the ad said real estate, it thought it was a real estate ad, but I was selling dog beds, not a real estate ad. So Facebook flagged it and rejected it right away. So there's stuff like that. Where you say certain words in things that are banned or in special categories, like employment's another one, because you can't do a bunch of demographic targeting for employment. But if I say employment in an ad, it'll probably get flagged. Political things can. Obviously, don't do any threatening words or things like that. But any of those things that are banned, restricted, or kind of that gray area, I would say to stay away from if you can, or else you might have trouble getting your ad approved, or you might like I had some friends that like appealed those ads. They got approved, but then they made another change or duplicated it and tried to change something, and it got rejected again. So you kind of have to deal with like the horrible back and forth of like, let's appeal it again and get it approved. And so I would say, if it's anything kind of borderline, try to stay farther away from that line, because you're just going to have to deal with all those like appeals and stuff, which is not fun. I have like access to where I can escalate things and reach out to Facebook and get that help, but other people don't. Right. So they're like, oh, I'm waiting like a week or something, before they hear anything back, which I just say stay away from it if you can. Other things I've had trouble with doing like, consulting type stuff where you're saying, you can make this much money, even I've had trouble with like case studies showing, we made this much money or got this ROAS. Sometimes those can get rejected too. So you have to be careful there. So there's a lot. When it comes to just basic ads and not like the restricted things, I would say avoid stuff that people don't understand or don't know. So like I'm noticing now, I'm getting a lot more into like conversion rate optimization and just usability. And I read this book called Don't Make Me Think. And it's all just about make stuff clear for your customers. And you definitely want to think about just having clarity with your ads. So don't have like brand lingo that people don't know, especially for those ads at the top of the funnel where you're like, I don't know, whatever your brand, I can't think of one right now, but whatever kind of brand phrase you might have, probably don't say it if they don't know what it means. And most people probably don't. And they, as bad as it sounds, they don't care. People are just like, how can you help me? How will you fulfill whatever need, whatever pain point I have? So I would just say, keep it really clear and avoid kind of the brand lingo. A lot of brands really want to say their brand name a ton of times, or I'll even see it as the headline, like if it's Hydro Flask, it'll just say like Hydro Flask. And you're like, Hydro Flask is a big one. That's a bad example where you probably like, oh yeah, I love Hydro Flask. But if you're a smaller brand, most people don't care about your brand name. Most people don't care about your big logo. So just keep it clear and just talk to people basically how they talk about the products.
Yeah. I was going to ask about the headline. That will be the last question for the Facebook ad section here as we wrap it up. Because I'm curious, because I know you don't have a ton of real estate there, speaking of real estate, like on the headline side of it. So what is your like best recommendations, best practices to get people for that headline copy? And then even like the call to action button. Like, I don't even know. Did you get an option of like editing what the call to action button is, like shop now or learn more?
Yeah, you can change that. For the headline, I would say, you want to keep it shorter. You definitely want to check I just talked to Facebook about this too, because I was like frustrated about some of it, because they'll show you like, if you're writing a headline that's longer, in the preview to the right, where they'll show you what the ad looks like, they might show you that it fits fine. You need to look at the mobile version, because sometimes those mobile versions will get cut off. So you might see that on your phone where you're looking at ads and you just don't see it continue all the way. So definitely I would say keep it shorter and check the mobile version just to make sure it doesn't get cut off. In terms of what to write, what I like to do now is come up with those different ad angles that you might have, whatever those pain points people might have are, whatever those main benefits that you're going to give them. Typically the benefits are going to be the selling point. Again, test it. But I would say, make it really clear, test out those different headlines, pain points, benefits, and just try one of them and do like different tests with those different angles and see what people kind of respond to the most. I was going to say something else. I'm blanking now, but you just have to test it and just try kind of different stuff that comes to mind. I've tried other stuff too. That's more, I love like pushing the boundaries on what I'm saying and trying to grab people's attention. For example, like that dog bed company, I had an ad that was like, that's a good boy was the headline with an exclamation point. So it's just like, you're just like, what is this? But it's more just like, cause dog lovers just love seeing dogs a lot of times. So like stuff like that you can do that's not really salesy, and it's just like, wait, what's going on here?
It gets their attention and they read the rest of the ad, and then hopefully, they'll click through. So stuff like that you can try. That one I did do that in the middle of the funnel, because at the top I was like, I don't know if people respond to that as well. I had an ad that worked really well. It was for like a water bottle company, and it was for this year, and it was earlier before the year got like even crazier, but it was just like the water or says, what did it say? It said bottles for, well, anything at this point, or said something like that. So then people were like, wait, what is this about? And they would click through and kind of read more about it, which did really well. I ended up turning it off just because it got like, this year just got so much crazier that I was like, it's probably not a good thing to be running still right now with everything else going on. So with headlines too, just be careful about all of in 2020, it's like you have to stay up on the news weekly almost at this point, but
Be conscious of what's going on and don't come off tone deaf either, because that'll spread real quick. So don't do that.
Yeah, totally. All right. Awesome, man. Well, dude, so much insight there on Facebook ads and everything, especially like the copy side of it. And I think that can just translate to a lot of other things, like how your research methods too, are super insightful and effective. And I feel like we have yourself a new name. It's Tony Test Ads is what we got. We're doing this now. Tony does test ads.
Tony, it depends ads.
Tony depends ads. Oh, man. Well, I got a couple quick questions as we wrap up, man. And thank you so much for taking the time. And honestly, anybody listening, if you have a quick question and want to shoot us it in the comments, please feel free. But this part of the interview, Tony, I like to ask, what are some of the favorite software apps and digital tools that you use to really run your business or do what you do every day?
Yeah, so I keep it really basic for a lot of my stuff. I would say Evernote is like my go-to. It's just really easy for me to write all of my brain dumps down in a notepad somewhere. I can write on my phone, whatever, on my desktop, and then it's just synced everywhere. So that's really nice. I kind of use that for a lot of like my task work stuff that's high priority, whatever I need to get done. Okay. Split that out based on the projects I'm doing and everything. So that's just an easy, simple tool I like to use. One I mentioned is, and I'm just scrolling over it just to make sure I get it right, advertsuite.com. And that's that ad research tool. That's really cool. I love using that.
Is that Suite, SUITE?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I can give you that link too later.
Perfect.
Yeah, that one's really cool just because like I said, you can search whatever company, whatever, like if I'm talking about water bottles or whatever, I can search water bottles and see what's in the ad copy that says water bottles. So you can kind of see competitors and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I love using a lot of the Facebook tools, ads library, Facebook analytics, all that kind of stuff, and just diving down into and even the Facebook, just the organic page, insights. I think, it's called Insights. So that's another thing I love to do is just look at whatever client page that I'm doing ads for, and click on that Insights tab in their page and see like what those top performing posts are. A lot of those I'm running right now for that same water bottle company I've been mentioning. And I'm just pulling in those top performing organic posts, and they're doing really, really well. So that tool is really great. Cool. I love, not work related as much, but 5-Minute Journal.
Okay.
Which is, that app, and they have like an actual journal too. And you just write like 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things you want to accomplish today. And then you kind of reflect at the end of the day too. So that one's really cool. Just helps with gratitude and being all cheerful. Like I always am, We
talked about this with a handful of people on this, just like being grateful and writing those things down. It's such like a game changer. It really is once you start practicing it and make it a daily habit.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's like, I don't use very many other things. I use a lot of like the Google Drive software. Yeah. So I use a lot of like Sheets, Google Sheets. And I found out if you type in, I think it's sheets.new and like doc.new in the browser, it just popped up a new one. And I'm like, that's amazing.
I feel like I discovered that like a month or so ago. And I was like, wow.
I learned it on Twitter.
Those tools, that's so cool, man. And I feel like, I've never really thought about going much to Facebook when in part of like my research process. Like I've done the Amazon reviews, I've done a few like ad libraries, but like even like what you mentioned, the Insight tab and seeing what their top posts are, and then seeing what people are saying in the comments. I think that's just another way to like hear how people are talking about, your specific industry or any competitors as well. So that's super cool.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, when Facebook knows that something like that's working, they're going to help you, and it's going to be cheaper to run that as an ad typically. Those ads that are like I mentioned, like that leggings one that gets all the shares and stuff, it's going to be really cheap to run that because Facebook knows that people love it. So if you can just get those organic posts, like a really great example, we had a customer that like wasn't happy with the service that they got. So the business owner just like sent them like a really nice care package. Like, sorry, here's like a bunch of our products. And then the customer wrote like this crazy review and was like, I love this company. It's the best thing ever. And she took a picture of that package that she got. So I ran that as an ad now. And that's like perfect social proof, because everyone's like really.
Yeah, totally.
One of the main things that people are always like thinking about is like, can I trust this brand? Is the product good quality, all that kind of stuff. And that was like just like a perfect piece to run. And that was organic that originally that we ran. And I was like, that did really well. I'm going to definitely use that. And that's like one of my top performing ads right now running, which is doing really well.
Nice. Awesome. Well, got my final question. It's a quick 2-part question, Tony. Now I'll start with, are you more burrito or pizza?
I would say pizza.
A tough choice. I get it.
I know.
I ask you this, Tony, because if you were to make a success pizza, what are the 3 key ingredients, characteristics that make up that success pizza for you?
Okay. This is tough because I usually only like pepperoni, and that's like one ingredient.
You got your cheese, your sauce, and then the topping. So we can do it that way.
All right. Yeah. The pepperoni and I should have thought about this more. I knew this was coming. Yeah, I would say the pepperoni is for like passion and drive, I would say. So like you really, and we're talking about 3 ingredients to be successful. Is that?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Like for you, like what are the 3 things, man? Like passion. I love when people say passion because the show is called Pursuit of Passion.
Yeah, I just looked up. That was the first word I saw. So.
Yeah. Oh no, he froze again.
No, we're good.
Now we're back.
Okay. Yeah. So passion and drive, that's kind of like, I think what's led me to where I'm at now. So just being, whatever you love, whatever sparks your interest, go after it head on and do it. Let's see. The cheese can be like care for like customer care and just being nice and just being a great person. I mean, it's karma. It comes back to you. And like I said, with ads too, for that example, like I don't ever love running. I will never run ads for like really horrible products and people that don't take care of their customers. Because it's going to ruin the ads and everything. It sounds selfish and horrible, but like, yeah, like you need to have a good business. You need to be doing good business or else those customers aren't going to be coming back. So you really just need to care for those people and do the right thing at the end of the day. If something got messed up and it was your fault, if it wasn't your fault, still like side with the customer for the most part, and they'll come back and they'll tell more people, And the third one is, what do we got? Sauce. Sauce.
What's the
would
secret
stand
sauce?
for? I can't think of an S term, but I would say the sauce.
I like how you're trying to approach it that way. It's like, all right, cheese, I need a C word, passion, or pepperoni. It's all good. I don't know what else comes to mind.
Yeah, I would say
it could be like a huge. It could be a phrase.
Yeah, I would just say education, growth. So just really focusing, sort of with passion too, but like go with like just keep growing. Don't be content. And a great example, and like it really changed my mindset. But when I went to Boeing, I was the young guy, and I was replacing the older people there that thought it was a family-owned business, and they were getting laid off before like retirement, and it was very grim to go into that. But I would see all these people that were just very content because they thought this is where I'd be the rest of my life. And having that mindset, like if you're not growing and then something like that happens, like hopefully it will never happen to anyone. But if that does happen, like you have to keep growing or else you're just gonna be in that point where you're just like, I can't offer anything else to any other company. So that was right out of college. I was like, that's a big lesson. So I need to keep growing, keep learning.
Totally.
And I think especially for ads, and I'd say for copywriting too, like it changes so often, where you have to be growing, you have to be learning more, network as much as you can, to talk to other people and see what's working and what's not working and go from there.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I dig it, dude. It's a nice, it's a tasty success pizza there. Oh, good, man. No pressure, man. Just loosen up a little bit. We're good. No, I'm just kidding. I always love that question, and just hearing some of and I love how you kind of intertwine some of the stories within that too. So, man, I appreciate it. And Tony, man, I really appreciate your time today, man. And everybody watching, stay tuned. We're going to be doing a Whose Tagline Is It Anyway right after this with Tony. He's going to use his copywriting skills against mine. It'll be fun. I stink. I'm in a slump. But anyways. But yeah, and thanks again, man. And before I let you go, please let everybody know where they can follow you. And if there's anything that you want to promote, you have my permission in the floor right now.
Yeah, I would. I don't have anything to promote really. I'm just like I'm really busy right now. I'm moving to this new house. I got too many people reaching out. So I would say though, yeah, if you have any questions that you have, like quick things that we went over here, and you want more clarity, just reach out to me anywhere. It's really easy. I'm just at Tony Does Ads everywhere. My website is TonyDoesAds.com. I almost got it wrong there. TonyDoesAds.com is my website. And I'm like always on Twitter, so that's probably the main place to reach me if you want to reach out, DM me or comment, whatever. And yeah, I'll be sure to reply.
All right, cool. Yeah, your new URL will be Tony Does Ads and test them twice.
Yeah,
is the new one. Oh man,
well, I was joking that like if I grow like a team out, it'd be like Tony Does Ads, Christian does video, this guy is the intern.com.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, you have everybody's handle for part of your team when you grow that way. That's awesome. All right, Tony, man, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, man, thanks again. And everybody, thank you for watching this live show of Proceed with Passion. To the replay watchers, enjoy, and we will see you next time. Cheers.